check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
And then there were two. Do you remember the first week, Shawn, how fast the year goes by?
Yeah, and it goes by even faster in person than when you even think about it then.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that we're at the end of the road already for the 2022-2023 NFL season. And we're going to go discuss in just a minute a little bit about the Super Big Game Bowl, because apparently you can't put Super and Bowl together back to back without getting the billionaires in the NFL upset, Roger Goodell.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I wonder how many people actually commit that, all the time. And nothing.
Yeah, but I'm just going to make fun of it, because here you have a game that's made by the fans, right? And the fans can't even use the title of the big game.
Yeah, and you think you would want to too. You know what I mean? Like,
it's clownish.
You want people to tune. Yeah, you want people to tune in.
People are going to tune in anyway, and everybody's going to call it the Super Blank Bowl. But I always find it funny when it's situations like that. Anyway, enough about that nonsense. Been a while since we got together, and last time we got together was a bloody red week. Ooh, everybody lost money during the NFC Championship week. Our man Jared lost another $114. Shawn, 0 for 2 on those money liners. Probably agreed with what trended on Twitter afterwards, after the Chiefs and Bengals game. For once, Shawn was like, damn it, you're right. It is fixed.
No, the refs were horrible in that game.
The refs in that game were just absolutely brutal, Shawn. First of all, what's up, Lolo? How you doing today? Good to see you, my friend. Hopefully we can find some winners for you tonight for the big game. But that hit, you have to admit that Mahomes knew he got hit, but the guy hit him with his forearm, and he didn't really hit him hard, and Mahomes made the most of it. He flopped and got the call.
Yeah, but overall, the call was right because it was late. But yeah, Mahomes did add to it, which made it worse. There was a play earlier in the game where a Bengals guy was hit late, going inside the 5
on the goal line.
Yeah. And it was even worse, and no one threw the flag. And I understood it because it was one of those close plays. But you gotta, then as the refs, you gotta understand. And in that situation, they never want to throw the flag. So it was one of those, I held my breath, and I was like, they'll never throw the flag. And then they threw the flag, and then it's unbelievable.
Well, especially when you look on that same play, up on the left-hand side, the Hendrickson was held like 45 times before Mahomes took off. And it was blatant holding, and it's like, okay, guys, come on, man. I think as far as NFL players are concerned, at least I think as far as even if you play like intramural basketball, the only thing you ask from the officiating is that if it's ticky-tack, it's always ticky-tack. And if it's anything goes, it's always anything goes.
Right.
Just be consistent so I know what rules to play within, and don't be inconsistent with the 2 ticks on the clock.
Right. And actually what you say is, a lot of teams do that in every sport, basketball, baseball, and football. They read up on the refs. They know, what they normally call and what they can get away with and what they can't get away with. It's one of those, as the refs, they knew when they made that call, you decided the game right there. If you don't make that game, the game's still in balance. You make that call, it's pretty much over. And that's why you usually keep your flag in the pocket.
Yeah,
but they decided this time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the guy for the Bengals got to know better.
I agree wholeheartedly, but I also think that the officiating has got to be. I mean, he probably saw Mixon get blasted out of bounds. And in the back of his mind, he knew that if it was on the edge of the sidelines, they may or may not call. They're probably not going to call that, especially in that situation. Wasn't using his head, unquestionably. Shouldn't even made it close. They would have had, because at that point, there's no way they try to field goal. But in any case, I agree with what trended on Twitter. NFL's fixed. There you go, Roger Goodell. I can't use Super Big Game Bowl, but I can sure as hell say your game is fixed. All right. As far as me, I got one win. Jalen Hurts did get that anytime touchdown. The Eagles defense, I thought they had a chance to score on that one fumble late, but the guy couldn't pick it up. And then he had to fall down on the ball. If he picks it up, he's going to go and score. But they didn't really need to complete any long passes against that mighty 49ers defense that folded like a pup tent in a hurricane.
Well, that whole game just changed. When they don't have a quarterback, the whole thing just changed completely.
Can I tell you, they could have kept Purdy in there, and they were going to get ass stomped anyway.
I don't know.
Yeah, they would.
We'll never know. We'll never know. Unfortunately, and you said this before about certain backup quarterbacks too. When it starts to get to the point of like that, like they weren't even trying. I don't care who you have. Somebody's got to be throwing something. I mean, pass interference, something. They weren't even trying. They were handing the ball off, just trying to end the game. It was
trying to get out of Philadelphia, like Jared.
Like Jared. Yeah, and I guess they got out of like one piece, like Jared did too.
Yes, indeed. Well, except for a few players in any case. And then our man JT, who's off tonight. TJ, excuse me, a little bit of dyslexia on my part. Off to the track tonight. He's got some horses running tonight, right?
No, he was on a honeymoon, he said.
Oh, he's on a honeymoon. Well,
he's on a cruise.
Honeymoon horse races. I don't know which one I'd rather have, to be honest with you. Either way, I'm sure he's smiling. But he did pick the winners right. Just went over on both games, and both games went under. So he lost he lost $22. Not that big of a deal. Year-to-date results. Shawn going to take home the championship, as we mentioned in the notes to the show. Shawn learning to finally do the 1 units, and it paid off for him. It's a lesson I've tried to impart on him for 2 years, and he's hard-headed. But after 2 years of cracking on that skull, the chick finally came out.
Yeah, I still took a swing here or there, but I definitely, I wasn't doing the 3, 4, 5, because honestly, I forget what was it, the Lions, I think, that might have done. I don't know, that I had 4 or 5 units on, and that really hurt me early in the year.
Yes, it's like the drunk who finally says the last time at the toilet bowl, this is the last time I'm going to drink, and it absolutely turns out to be that way. I had that really rough stretch in the end of the year that just absolutely buried me. It's really kind of hard to respond, but let's see if we can close out the year with a bang together. Jared down over $2,000. So if you had faded Jared, faded me, played Shawn, you would have came ahead a huge year in 2023. So hopefully next year I don't go through a 6-week losing streak, which happens from time to time, but still nonetheless, I would say down $600 with all the bets we've made. Probably 2/3 of that is just the juice, I would guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. All right, Shawn. Well, that brings us to the Super Big Game Bowl. And in the game, you have the Eagles, who are the favorite. The over-under is about, 51 points, somewhere in that line?
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think it's 50.5, 51, up from like 49. So if you like the
51, yeah.
Should have bet it a little bit earlier in the week. The Eagles are favored by what, 2.5?
1.5.
So that line has come down a little bit. All right. I like the Eagles in that spot. But just speaking of the game overall, what do you think? What do you think is going to determine the outcome of the game?
Oh, okay. I wasn't prepared for that. It's got to be.
I always try to put you on the spot, bro. I mean, you can go with the cliche and say turnovers, but go ahead.
No, I don't want to go with any of the cliches. So it could be what defense stops the offense with turnovers, anything like that. Let's go with Jalen Hurts passing. I mean, that's the one wild card. How well is he going to pass against Kansas City's defense? I mean, Kansas City's defense has been good, nothing great. But really, the Eagles rely more on the running. So let's see how well. I mean, if he goes for 250 yards and it's not all just because they had to chase Kansas City might be in a tough spot. Because if
Kansas City is going to be in a tough spot, John, because the Eagles' offensive line is dominant. There's just no question about that. They just manhandled the 49ers. I mean, in the end of the game, when the game was over, and you knew the Eagles were going to run, and the 49ers knew the Eagles were going to run, the Eagles still ran, and they ran effectively. I think that's going to be the difference in this game. From watching the Eagles, I think that's the difference in this team. Is that offensive line is just a road grader. I mean, eventually they wear you down, they tear you apart, and when they do, the holes get big. I think the Eagles are going to control the clock in this game on both sides of the ball. I think you're going to see the Eagles defense try to take away Travis Kelce. I don't know if that's possible or not, but I think they're going to make Juju Smith-Schuster or Marquez Valdez-Scalding or McKinnon or Pacheco beat them. I don't think they're going to let Kelce beat them. If they do, it's a huge defensive strategy mistake by the Eagles. And on the other end of this, on the other side, I mean, I do think that the Mahomes-led offense will be able to score points, but I think the Eagles' defense is good enough to take advantage of what appears to be a weakness with the Chiefs, and that sometimes in the red zone they trade field goals for touchdowns.
Yeah, that's true. But, both of these teams are very streaky too. I mean, they got good offenses, but there have been times where both of them just for a half just don't do anything really, even with all that talent. So that'll be another, key to the game, which team does that and which team doesn't.
Well, I think with the fact that they have the better offensive line and they got the shutdown corner and Darius Slay, I think the Eagles have more ways to win this game than the Kansas City. I can't see Kansas City running their way to the victory in the Super Bowl. It's going to be a big game for Mahomes for that to happen. I can see Philadelphia running their way to the championship, or if need be, passing their way to the championship. And if it's a defensive game, I certainly would lean towards the Philadelphia's defense over Kansas City. So when you look at the four facets of the game, I think they all favor the Eagles minus the passing game.
Well, and I'll say you said about the shutdown corner. With a team like the Chiefs, it really don't matter because they don't really have that one receiver.
Well,
unless they're going to put Slay on Kelsey, which I don't think they're going to do.
I think that would be a good idea.
Maybe, but I don't know if Kelsey just might be too big and powerful anyway for a guy like Slay. So
it could be.
Yeah. So that's an interesting part of this game too. Is who does Slay try to shut down, because they don't really have that just one receiver.
Yeah, I mean Juju, he shuts himself down, and Marquez Scalding, he sometimes can't catch.
And I've seen some people, and Kelsey I think is like plus 1,200 to win MVP, and I entertain the idea, but the problem is
I think he's down to 990 or something like that.
Yeah, but even if he goes for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns, those all go to Mahomes unless Mahomes gets hurt. So Mahomes is going to win the MVP probably anyway. So
they like to give it to the quarterback.
Yeah, so I kind of all Kelsey's stats are going to be pretty much just part of Mahomes' stats. So unless if Kelsey's just catching everything from Mahomes, I have a hard time figuring out how Kelsey's going to win it and not Mahomes. So I stayed away from that.
Yeah, I think if you're going to go with a dark horse to win the MVP award, I would go with either Miles Sanders or Gainwell. And I don't know because Sanders didn't play the second half of the NFC Championship game. So I don't know if he got dinged up or what, because I never really saw any news on it. But if he's healthy and that offensive line is making the push that I expect them to make, I think Miles Sanders could have a big game. But in terms of over-under in the yards, again, I'm not quite sure what happened there, because it does seem like Gainwell ended up getting a lot of the carries in the second half of the game, beating the 49ers, and the second half of the game when they came out of the box and won the first game in the playoffs.
Oh, it could have also been them kind of just he could have been a little banged up and just resting, because at no point in any one of these games in the second half was it really ever a threat. So
yeah, against the 49ers or the Giants.
Yeah, so it could have been a little bit of both. He could have been a little banged up, but there was no point of even giving him a little bit of extra hits that he didn't need to take.
No, there's no point. So I think if you want a dark horse, that's the guy I would focus on. In terms of defense, maybe Darius Slay can get a pick 6 or something like that, or somebody, one of the edge rushers from the Eagles, maybe make a sack fumble type thing and dominate that offensive line. Otherwise, I think it's the obvious. It's either Hurts or Mahomes, and that's that.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get to some other props then before the game starts or after the game starts. Well, let's just talk about some props, and then we'll talk about the game. So before the game starts, Shawn, the one that everybody likes to bet is the coin toss. And I know that's silly, but the one thing about the coin toss, so I looked at the odds, it's plus 100 on heads, plus 100 on tails. So you're not really taking a haircut. The juice is, there's no juice in that bet. It's a 50-50 bet where you're getting a 50-50 payout. So from a math standpoint, it's a fair bet. And with that being said, I'm going to put 1 unit on the coin toss coming up heads because the last 2 have been heads and 4 of the last 5 have been, last 2 have been tails and 4 of the last 5 have been tails. So that means, no, wait a minute. Did I get this right? I hope I got this right. Let me make sure I got this right, Shawn. Because I think in my mind, I might have it backwards here. Hold on. What do you think about that?
I would say heads too.
Actually, no. I'm taking tails. I got that wrong. Hold on. I did.
Okay.
Because 4 of the last 5 have been heads. So tails is due from a probability. I know each one is its own independent 50% thing, blah, 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 blah. But just statistically speaking, 4 out of the last 5 with 50% probabilities go in one direction. It should go the other direction. So I'm going to put 1 unit on it coming up tails.
You know what's crazy is I think, I was doing good at betting the 1 year that it was tails, and I might have put $20 on the coin toss, and I put it on heads and it was tails. So that probably explains the one that happened. So I'm not doing that this year. So good luck on that with the tails.
Well, another is 50-50 though. So you're getting a plus 100 for
Oh,
something.
yeah.
With 50,
they're not making
odds.
it.
So it's a fair
They're not
bet.
making any money. They're just taking action, just
Correct.
getting people to throw more. You want to zoom in a little bit? I can't see any of that.
Oh, you can't see any of that? Okay, so you need glasses, is what you're trying to say?
Maybe, but I don't think anybody can really see it.
All right, there we go. Can you see it now, Shawn? Or I need to
we're
zoom
good.
in on that some more.
No, we are good.
All right, so there you go. So now I can make it maybe one more bigger. Hold on, let's see. I don't know. It's probably going to go off to. There you go. Now you can see it even better.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, since it's just you and me, kid, anyway. All right, so that's what I like on the coin toss before the game starts. Then when the game gets started, Shawn, let's start with the first TD jersey to score a touchdown. When I saw it was over, and the number was 11.5, I was like, oh, damn, that's absolutely going to be over. Then I ran through all of the jersey numbers, and I'm like, wait a minute. Really, there's only 2 real threats to go over 11.5. That's Kelce. We talked about him. So if he scores the first touchdown, I'm doomed. And the 2 Philadelphia running backs, Gainwell is 14, and Sanders is 26. Maybe the tight end from the Eagles, but I don't know if Goddard's going to he hasn't really caught a touchdown pass since they've come back. And that's it. Otherwise, everybody else is a jersey number in terms of the bulk TD scores is under 11. You got Mahomes running it in, but I think
he hasn't been running. Yeah. Because I was thinking the same thing you were. But I guess AJ Brown's 11, isn't he?
AJ Brown is 11. Yes,
11. That's where that cutoff. That's where that cutoff was too. They knew what they were doing there.
Yes, and Pacheco is number 10. So if he runs it in, Jalen Hurts is number 1. So if he runs it in, and that was the thing I was thinking too, because when they get down to the 1 yard line, a lot of times they just let Jalen Hurts keep the ball, and I don't see that changing in the Super Bowl. In fact, I think it being the last game of the year, he's more likely to run in this game more frequently than he's run in the past because, well, he's got the whole season to deal with the bruises.
Plus, you're putting it all out, and you're there now. You got to put it all out on the line. So, any quarterback that's that's interesting because I saw the under was actually taking more play than the over, and I kind of thought what you did. But now that you're saying it like that, but I almost feel like, and I almost wanted to do it, I almost wanted to put money on Kelce being the first touchdown scorer.
Well, I think if you're going to play over 11.5, that's your most likely guy. So in that scenario, I think you're right. It's just a bet straight up on. So maybe what you do is you take some money on the first jersey under 11.5, and you put maybe some money on Kelce.
Well,
and that way you got both sides of that action in terms of big probabilities.
Yeah, that's a good one. And you get some offensive lineman or something to flank out as the tight end and score the touchdown.
Like, what the F? All right, so in the game, we got the first jersey. Speaking of which, scoring touchdowns, you think, well, I have to suspect if Philadelphia is winning the game, we're going to see the Philly special just in tribute to the last time.
Yeah, and I just, I know the Mahomes injury, but these odds, and also Mahomes has had some times to rest. If he's wide open, I'm sure he can catch a pass. There's always these crazy plays in the Super Bowl. So, and what that says is they have to catch it. I mean, it could be just whatever kind of play here.
Loss.
So 1,200, that, $100, it's $1,200 right there. So I really thought the odds were good on this. And these kind of teams, these kind of coaches that are aggressive, they got the quarterbacks that could do it. Obviously, the one question would be, how's Mahomes' ankle for that side? But I really, Hurts and the Eagles could definitely do this too.
I think their Eagles are going to do the Philly special in tribute to that team that won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles some time ago. I think that's a heck of a smart bet right there for plus 1,200. So as the game goes on, longest third down conversion over 12.5 yards for minus 110, Shawn. I suspect with both of those passing games, there's a very strong likelihood there'll be a 3rd and 15 converted.
Well, yeah, and I was thinking too, and it doesn't say it doesn't, but like if they're 3rd and 15 and you get a holding call that's an automatic first down, that counts, right? I mean, I have nothing.
Yeah, I got
that
a
says
feeling
that.
that's going to not count. I don't know for sure from
Well,
what the rules are, but I would suspect that would be I think when
I
that
don't know.
happens, you're going to look to your account and it's 50-50 whether you're going to see a
Yeah, it doesn't
payoff
say
there.
not, and I'm like, and it doesn't matter anyway because, like you said, with their passing games and stuff, they get in those situations. These are two teams that, 3rd and 15, you're still going to have to stop them. They're not going to just roll down and do a draw and punt the ball. So
yeah, they're not going to. Both teams are going to.
And they're going to have to be aggressive.
Unless, of course, the wide receivers are my favorite types, where it's 3rd and 13 and they run 12-yard outs.
But yeah, and that ain't going to help my other bet neither. I thought for a minute it was going to help my other bet, but that your example quite wouldn't help my other bet, the 4th down one.
So 4th down, so that we're doing conversions. Let's stick to that. 4th down conversion, the longest one. You suspect it's going to be over 2.5 yards, and I think you're probably going to see that in the end of the game with the team that's behind that's trying to catch up, provided the score is not out of hand.
Yes, you could, but I also feel like they're on the 40-yard line and it's 4th and 5. These teams aren't going to kick a 57. I mean, these teams could kick a 57-yard field goal. It's in Arizona. It's inside. They could do that. They could do that, but with these offenses and these coaches, they're going to be aggressive too. So I just feel like 4th and 5, they're down 7, second quarter, 40 yard, not own 40 line, the other opponent's 40-yard line. Mm-hmm. They could go for it and definitely make it. So I feel like there'd be enough opportunities here for that again, you're almost getting even money for it. I feel like that's a good bet.
So you think there's going to be a 2-point conversion attempt at some point in the game? Is that because you feel like late in the game the score is going to dictate that?
Yes, and again, both coaches are very aggressive. I mean, Nick Sirianni, he goes for 2 on the weirdest stuff. Like they're up, and he's going for 2 just to make it. I don't know why he goes for two sometimes. So again, I feel like they're going to be aggressive, and I got the 2 coaches, and that's what a lot of these bets are right now. These coaches are both going to be aggressive, and it's the Super Bowl where teams tend to start getting away from the game plan and go real aggressive. So that just says attempt. They don't have to make it. So
you got to plus
120 for that.
Got to line up and hike, and then you're good to go. All right, good.
So, I mean, the Eagles were up big the one playoff game. Was it the Giants? And they lined up to go for 2 just to try to get somebody off. It was really weird. So I just feel
as long as they don't run the same play the Cowboys did that ended their season. All right, Philly, so challenging. This is another one that's 50-50, right? Either they challenge or they don't challenge the Eagles. So first team to challenge, whether you took Kansas City or you took the Eagles, and there's always a case that they won't challenge because in the last 7 Super Bowls, there have only been 4 challenges. Can you believe that, Shawn? I would think there's no challenge.
Really?
Yeah, I did some research on this. Andy Reid has been in 3 Super Bowls. You know how many times he's challenged?
0. Well,
So
what hurts your chances with that is that you have the booth review if they want to step in or, just they can tell the refs now, hey, you missed that call, go to this. So that's kind of what brings the challenges down a little. But that's still surprising because that hasn't always been the case. That's only been the case, the last 2-3 years? So that's surprising. That's once every other year.
I think there'll still be a challenge in this game. And of the 4 challenges in the last 7 games, all of them were made by coaches making their first appearance in a Super Bowl.
And now you got it.
And there you go. And I'm getting 50-50 odds on it again. So either Philly challenges or they don't. And if they do, guess what? I'm a winner. So I felt like it was, again, a fair bet where the house is not really. And on the other side, Andy Reid, who's never challenged, is minus 120. So they think he's going to challenge, and he hasn't yet in the Super Bowl. So we'll find out if Andy Reid reaches down into a pocket and then has to figure out if he's got a cheeseburger or a flag in there, decide which one to throw onto the field.
So I have one question about this one too, and I don't know if it tells you. If neither coach challenges, you get your money back, right?
You
lose.
I would suspect, I don't know, because they didn't have the rules anywhere. So I don't know.
Yeah, because it says first to challenge. So if neither Kansas City or Philly first challenges, I believe that's a refund.
Oh, it could. Well, then it's really a good bet. I like it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do all my 4 bets. I wanted to put together a parlay, but DraftKings wouldn't let me, so I can't do it. All right. That's brings us now to the game itself. Shawn, neither one of us are playing a line, although I do think that the Eagles are the team that's going to win this game. I do think they'll win by more than 1.5 points, but that's not what my algorithm said. But what it did say is these two teams will go over 50.5 points. It is a really high total. I'm not the biggest fan of going over 50 points, but I can see both teams getting to the 30s. In fact, there was a thing going on around on the internet. I don't know if you saw this, Shawn, where they showed, I think it was on Pro Football Reference. They showed the final score, Philly 31 and Kansas City, 34-31 or 37-34. So the NFL, as the Twitter thing started, as we started the show, is fixed. The game is going to end up exactly as Pro Football Reference said. Well, take the over.
You know, the crazy part now is if it does end up like that, everybody's going to believe that was all legit.
That's like the one score the NFL does not want, right? Then for sure, Goodell will be calling in, hey, throw a flag.
Yeah. I didn't bet it, but only because of the slow starts, like I talked about before. Sometimes in the Super Bowl, you get those real slow starts, but I would have to favor the over too. You know, I heard some people say, I think it's a 21-17, 24-21 game, and I cringed and thought to myself, there is no way these two teams play that kind of game. I can't see it, especially the 21-17. Who in this game is not scoring over 20 points? I
think the one thing that can, I think, be difficult. Again, we talked a little bit about how Kansas City sometimes bogs down. So if instead of scoring touchdowns, they score field goals early on, that could take the game under. But I think if teams score touchdowns, the game should go over. But we'll find out, right?
I guess the other thing would be, Mahomes is already banged up. He takes one more hit or twist to that ankle and he can't go. Then you're talking a different scenario.
And then you're not going to be happy with what you're playing if that happens.
Yeah. Then you can throw that ticket out. You could do exactly what I did with San Fran too, and just throw that ticket right out.
Kobe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you like the Chiefs to go win this game outright as the underdog, and you're going to get plus 105 to do it in a game that 1.5 line is almost 50-50. So you're getting a little better than 50% odds, Shawn. So it looks like another fair bet to me in terms of what the odds say versus what the line is.
Yeah, and I just, you can't bet against Mahomes and Andy Reid in this. I just feel like, and I'll be totally honest, and I'm usually not biased with Jets games.
So you're usually not. I thought you were going to go, you're usually not totally honest.
No, right. I'm not usually biased with Jets games because I can see I'm not one of those faithful, I'm a Jets fan, they can't lose. But I am a little, I never want to see the Eagles win.
I don't think that would be a homer. I think that would be the definition of insane. After watching the Jets take the field the last few years.
But I am a little biased against not wanting the Eagles to win. But saying that, I still think the better bet is the Chiefs here.
And that's what you got. All right. So Jared sent me a whole list of prop bets that he likes. So let me go ahead and run down these prop bets, most of which didn't have any odds, and I didn't have time to go look them up. So because I have other things to do. He likes Pacheco to run over 48.5 rushing yards. Hurts over 31.5 pass attempts. Philly, the first play that they will have will be a pass. I don't think so. I think they'll hand off to because they have that offensive line. But again, 50-50, and I don't think you're getting 50-50 on that. Over 4.5 field goals for the game. So 5 field goals in the game plus 300. Yeah, I don't know about that either. I agree with you, Shawn. I think they're going to run the ball. I think they're going to try to get in the end zone. So Buckner, a field goal over 1.5 field goals for the Kansas City kicker. He likes that one as well. Longest kicker field goal by in terms of which team, Kansas City again. And I kind of like that because I think that they're more likely to kick field goals than the Eagles. Hurts anytime TD. He likes that as well. And then finally, Miles Sanders over 45.5 rush yards. If that's really what the number's at, I find that to be startlingly low.
I'm going to look that up. But yeah, that could be, I will say on the field goal thing, I did see one, any team makes a field goal over 60 yards is like plus 900.
Yeah. Well,
and I feel like that could be a good one too, because you're inside. The only thing then, a reason I didn't bet it was because of my scenario where it's 4th and 5, or they can attempt a 60-yard field goal. I think both of these coaches are going to go for it.
Well, I think versus a 60-yard, I think that the only chance you're going to see the 60-yard field goal is either right before the half or at the end of the game.
Right.
And that was in the
other
one.
You're 4th and 15. You're 4th and 15, and you're on the 43-yard line. You could do it too, you don't want to punt the ball and you're confident in the kicker. I mean, both of these kickers do have the legs to do that.
We'll both kick them long for sure. I agree with you, but I feel like that the most likely scenario, one other one that was in there, it was interesting to me too, was the walk-off field goal.
Yes.
The only thing I was worried, I didn't know if a walk-off field, because the rules weren't really there.
It's got to be the last play of the game.
Yeah, so if it's with 3 seconds left and they kick off, you lose, right?
Yeah. And that's the problem. And the other bet, though, that you could do for that is I saw either team wins by exactly 3 or either team wins exactly by 7. And I thought those were kind of interesting, too, knowing that I feel like this is going to be a close game either way.
Yeah, I think so, but a lot of times it doesn't really work out that way, right?
Yeah.
I think because of the nature of these two offenses, I think there is a chance that one team can get behind and the other team tries to play catch up, and they got a lot of, they get in and get off the field real quick because it's passing, complete. The other team gets the ball and that spread starts to grow and grow and grow, and it makes it difficult then at that point for it to be a close game.
Those are other bets available. You can have a team down by 14 or more to come back and win, or a team down 21 or more and come back and win. 21's a little hard, but 14, I mean, either one of these teams could get down 14-0 and come back and win. I mean, we see it every week. So both of these teams have the offense to do it. Your Miles Sanders, I have 61.5 yards.
So put it at Miles Sanders 61. I was going to say, because 45.5 seemed to be absurdly low to me. It's 45.5. I was going to go to the bank and see if I can get a mortgage by tomorrow and put the house on it and then be homeless come Monday when we do the show for Parks with Terry and I. All right, Shawn. Hey, man, can you believe it? The year is up. You can find all of our picks. There's a link down below for the complete history of the year. One of the good things about us is that we are wholeheartedly transparent. We put out all of our picks are there for the whole year, win, loss, otherwise. And then we're going to do the same thing next year. Shawn and I will be back for the NFL next year. We'll be new and improved because Rich is working on some new visual stuff. So we'll look real like a TV show, not like a bunch of bozos in their basement.
Well,
Well,
don't have a comment on that.
You know what they say, man, about that. If the truth fits, man, you wear it.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Any final thoughts? Well, before we do that, next week you're back with Jamie. What's your horse center schedule?
So Monday we have trainer Justin Evans on. Tuesday, Parks announcer Jessica Paquette. And then Wednesday, jockey instructor Willie Lozano, who used to be a jockey as well. Now he's over there teaching in the Puerto Rico school that we've been interviewing a lot of people that come from that school.
You have to make sure you ask them if they have a class on smiling.
Yeah, we need to take it, or I need to take it.
And then, of course, Jessica Paquette, our intern Allison wrote a wonderful article with Jessica, which we'll also post on the horseracingtoday.net on Tuesday. Jalen put out a nice article today as well on Netflix, about to do maybe a series on horse racing. You can catch that over at horseracingtoday.net. Our guy, Ronaldo, what's his last name? DeGaio. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Almost forgetting the old man in me. He puts out a bunch of great historical articles. You can find those over on horseracingtoday.net. I went to the store today because I couldn't get my computer to connect to my camera for the videotape. So I got this thing. So soon, the video from Jamie and I down in Tampa Bay and Gulfstream, edited with music and all sorts of graphics and fun stuff, will be over at horseracingtoday.net as well as on our YouTube channel. And we got a lot of great stuff coming in May, going to Nashville to do the jumpers. That's going to be, I think, amazing. In April, I'm going to be down in Arkansas for the Oaklawn Apple Blossom with announcer Vic Stauffer. We're going to play golf on Thursday, head to the track on Friday. So we're going to have a golf competition and a handicap competition. I got a feeling, Shawn, much like this show, he's going to be you and I'm going to be me. I'm going to get my ass beat both ways. And then this upcoming weekend, Jamie and Willie are going to be at the fairgrounds for the Risen Star Stakes. So a lot of great video content coming. We're going to set some new standards, some great new content. We're going to do a lot of great things here on Horse Racing Today. To make sure you don't miss them, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube, on Horse Racing Radar TV. Hit the like button on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can follow all of us online. I'm at HRT Rich. You're at Swiss Army Shawn. Forever Wild Jamie with an I. And Julie Ramjeet as well. So you can check all of us out. Any other final things, Shawn?
Well, no, and what you're saying, I mean, we have a ton of content coming, and we have access to more. It's just a matter of getting time to do it or the financial backing to do it. We do this.
Unfortunately, Shawn, no, Terry's not going to be reporting live from Golden Gate, but I'm glad you bring that up because tomorrow, about as soon as the scratches come out, myself, Terry, and Charles will get together for all of our picks tomorrow at Golden Gate for every race. That'll be fun because they have the El Camino Real Derby, which is a Kentucky Derby qualifier. But surprisingly, Shawn, it's not a graded stakes race. Can you believe that?
Yeah, and it's not one I think that a lot of Derby horses really come out of. So they got to figure that out.
The only one that's suddenly done anything is Rombauer. Didn't he win the? Did he win the Preakness or the Belmont Stakes?
I think the Preakness.
The Preakness, yeah. I don't remember. My brain doesn't go back.
Maybe it's Belmont. I don't know. I know it wasn't the Derby. It was one after that. So
yeah, it was definitely 50, not the Derby.
50-50 shot.
Yeah, like the coin toss.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So tomorrow.
You know what's cool about Golden Gate, though, is when you watch Golden Gate, I mean, give our friend Matt Dinderman a shout out, too. He's always fun to listen to as an announcer.
Yes, Matt's a great friend of the show, too. We love Matt. Funny story, Shawn, when we were doing this on the telephone, remember? 1-800 whatever online, it was podcast. Very first guest was Matt Dinderman. So always a very special place in the home here. Like on the mantle, you put your trophies. If we ever have a horse racing today mantle over a fireplace, the one in the middle is going to go to Matt Dinnerman as our first guest. Real good. Real Quiet will win the El Camino. All right, well, we'll see if that's indeed the case. I don't remember who I have, but I got it all slated out. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And then on Monday, Terry and I will be back, and Tuesday to do Parks at our normal time, 11:30 Eastern. On Wednesday, Charles will return. He and I will do Gulfstream on Wednesday, and we'll do Aqueduct on Thursday. Foreign Fridays next week, we're going to be Down Under. Thomas was mentioning there's a lot of grade ones. Tomorrow, in fact, if you're going to do some betting over at Wolverhampton, I think the best track name in all of horse racing, Tom and I tackled the all-weather track there. So you can find picks will be up momentarily over on horseracingtoday.net, and the video is here on YouTube. And I did something different for that one, Shawn. I'm always working on like calculations. I'm just this weirdo math geek when it comes to trying to do horse racing stuff. Well, I did it for the Wolverhampton picks, and I want to see how they play out. So I just did straight up rankings based upon some of the data I've been working on. Let's see how they play out. I have one of the picks it made was the second choice was 100-1 morning line.
Oh, did you have more data or less data for those races?
Less.
Okay, that's what I figured, but I wasn't sure.
Sometimes to keep it simple, stupid, KISS principle actually works better, right? Because you get paralysis by analysis and you can't make up your mind what you want to do.
So we had X-Man on Wednesday, Xavier Pereg. Now we have Wolverhampton that you guys covered. So we're going all
Marvel, baby.
All Marvel.
Superheroes.
Yeah, so soon we'll be a superhero HRT.
Yeah, we're working on that. And instead of being rich who? I disappear for a week and everybody says, who did he send? Kick him to the curb.
Yeah.
All right, my man. Thanks for joining me. As always, it's been a hell of a trip this year for the NFL. I'm looking forward to next year. I think we'll be even better. Like I said, working on some other things to help make the content look better online, make it look more like a TV show. And maybe next year, if we actually start making money, we can get ourselves a host or hostess to do a lot of the introduction and the segues from part to part, which I think would be phenomenal. And so those are the type of things that we're going to bring to the Bear in the next year or so. So keep with us. We're growing because of you. We appreciate that.
And that's another thing, we have these interns and people that are just willing to help out that, we have the platform, they want to come on and help. And it's great. Everybody's we've found so far has been great in helping us grow.
Indeed. And hopefully when we get to where we want to go, we can return the favor, in the very minimum with the interns too. I mean, it's opportunity to help people put their information online, get themselves a portfolio so they can actually point to articles on, and I don't want to pat ourselves on the back a little bit. We're not so small anymore because across all of our platforms, we reach about 50,000 people a month. So, I mean, it's not big, but it's certainly not tiny either. Not where we were a year ago when we go, man, what are we doing this for 10 views?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely know the difference on socials. You put a good post and you might get 10 likes. Now it's, we get 100. So it's definitely growing, and hopefully we just keep up that upward trend, and eventually this thing will be huge.
Eventually we'll be huge, Shawn. All right, my man. Well, thanks again for joining me for the year. I want to thank Jared for all the entertainment he brought throughout the course of the year. JT, for joining us late in the year. Hope you're enjoying your TJ. God, I got dyslexia, so forgive me. We hope you're enjoying your honeymoon and that your horses end up in the winner's circle. But no matter what you're doing on Super Big Game Bowl weekend, Shawn, we hope that your picks, whether they are props or their bets or their horses, whatever it is the hell you're doing, you're playing the squares. No matter what it is, they all end up in
the end zone.
Yes, the end zone. Have a fantastic evening. Enjoy the game. We'll see you tomorrow.
Boys.